Naples 1, Richmond 0. FC Naples' first away day of the year. They come home with 3 points in the bag to continue to stay top of the USL League One standings. Paul, a gritty 1-0 victory on the road. You happy with what you saw?
Yeah, I think the game could have been better, performance-wise, but going into it, I think we both would have been happy with a point and come on home. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you walk away with 3 points, just that you did. The team had to fight, claw, a couple big plays, a great goal from O'Connor, a questionable call that went our way, which doesn't feel like happens often. But the Bay Area supporter group from Lake Tahoe was watching. Didn't get to catch the second half. I couldn't convince the group to watch the second half after what they saw in the first half. Game's somewhat not super entertaining when you watch the match recap and there are 3 plays from the entire second half. But from that, Delgado, 2 big saves late. Richmond was asking a lot of questions late, and you know, you can't take away from the fact that we kept the clean sheet. So overall, not sure what I would rate the performance, but the result, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, can't ask for much more. I had the pleasure of going to Hopsized and watching at the watch party. It was awesome, great atmosphere there. Really cool to see so many people from FC Naples fans go and watch and put the jerseys on and enjoy, and great barbecue food truck, great draft local craft beers. Overall, just a great time. So hoping those happen more on the road, because that was a lot of fun to watch with like-minded people and not just alone on my couch.
Yeah, and that's like part of the beauty of European soccer and like soccer fandom. It's the community that's built, and I think Naples is well on its way to building just an awesome community. Um, and that's kind of where it gets built. Yes, you go to the game, you might meet a few people here and there, but you're kind of there with your people. You're there to watch the game. When you go to an event like that, you get to meet new people. Like, and Naples is so small, you're going to run into people and be like, oh, awesome to see you here supporting the club, and even just people that happen to be at the brewery at that time and see the TVs on this random soccer game and ask the questions and grow the fandom. So yeah, I'm with you. I hope the club puts on more events, and maybe I could talk to them about getting something at the brewery out in the Bay Area.
Yeah, something for the Bay Area supporters group out there.
Hmm.
Um, like you kind of mentioned, definitely a kind of a tale of two halves. We're gonna kind of break down each of them here, but yeah, first half we Kevin O'Connor gets on the score sheet. It was a debate, at least in the brewery, between was it Kevin O'Connor's goal or was it a Backstein goal. Um, let's actually back up. Let's start with our starting lineup. How excited were you when you saw Backstein getting the nod to officially get his first league start of the season?
Yeah, it was. You texted me that. I think I was turning it on when you texted me that he was starting, and it just shows Matt Poland does listen to the show. In the Open Cup, he subbed out the goalkeeper after I said you shouldn't do that. This week, he gave me the nod and said, "You're right. Bashstein does deserve the start," and I think he made the most of it. Um, Not going to say, anything. Yeah, he didn't get on the score sheet, but you can impact the game so many other ways, and I think he's earned that spot.
Yeah, you could definitely see he was working hard still in the game too. A lot of stuff off the ball, and a lot of stuff on the ball as well. So just a great to see him get the nod, and almost get on the score sheet. I think he was about an inch away from that ball, but O'Connor with his first goal of the league season, coming in the 24th minute there, a header played in from Julian Cisneros. It's we asked the question at the beginning of the season, where are the goals going to come from, and it's proven to be kind of a complicated answer, but I don't think we have any concern so far over goals.
No, for one, to start, Bachstein could have scored. He chose to let OC get the goal. We'll throw that out there. That's called great teamwork. Nobody likes the guy that goes and taps it in and poaches the goal. Nobody likes that guy. Great, great, great job by him. And you could, going back to the debate, I was a little confused because the broadcast was highlighting Backstein, but none of the players were hugging him. So that's why I was like, it had to have been OC that scored. But you're right. Who's going to score the goals? I'm not concerned. We're not a one-dimensional team. We've proven that we can score in several different ways. And that's kind of what you need as the season goes on and teams make adjustments. You got to be able to score in creative ways, and we've been able to do that.
Yeah, impressive stuff so far. We had 2 goals first game, 2 goals second game, 3 goals in the Open Cup, and then a goal here, and it proved to be enough. Yeah, great header goal by O'Connor. Just kind of really well worked goal. You could kind of see something was building up to that point in the first half. I think we were the better side outside of maybe the first 5 minutes. I think Delgado had a good save, just getting down to it, and our team kind of looked a little jet lagged, you might say. Maybe first 5-10 minutes trying to find their footing in the game. Once we got that foothold, though, that backline never let up, and it looked, a true improvement on last year's backline as well. That was another concern that we had coming into the season. Lots of question marks there, but they were steady and strong all night long, I thought.
Yeah, and I thought the lineup choice too to not start Farine, who I believe put in a good shift on Wednesday. It doesn't solve the question about can Bashstein go 90 minutes because he did get pulled somewhat early. Was that for defensive reasons? I'm not gonna can't really speak on that, but um, an interesting an interesting lineup choice when you're Richmond. You think that you're able to break them down. They're tired. And next thing you know, Hudson Gay and Andres Farine are in the game fresh. You've been working for 60, 70 minutes, and now you got to deal with these two guys who are very fast and fresh. I think Poland probably wanted a second goal, and thought it would come off the counter. That's probably, if I had to guess, where those subs came in. But yeah, just an interesting choice to not see Farine picked when a little bit of controversy with him being subbed off late in that Corpus Christi game.
Yeah, Farine not. I was okay with Farine not getting the start, like you said, because he put in the shift on Wednesday, and then when he came in, right around the hour mark there for a lot. I think Backstein came off, as well as Messias in the midfield because he brought Oso Zario on. Farine, I think, really did make the difference, and seeing him backtrack and win balls, and then, like you said, just his pace coming down that wing. It really made Richmond adjust, and it was a 10-man Richmond squad as well. Kind of going back to the end of the first half there with the red card, we were texting about it during the game and in the brewery. I don't think any of us really knew why the red card was given. He might have made some contact going over. I think it was Aiden Messias that was down on the ground who just won the ball. Live, I thought Messias got the red card for a studs up challenge, but then it was when it went to their player named Richmond, it was a little surprising. What did you make of the red card?
Yeah, I watched it 2 or 3 times, having the luxury of rewinding the stream versus you at the brewery, and I'm with you. I totally thought that red card was on us for a studs up challenge, and I think I would have been a little upset, if we would have been the ones with the red card there, but I would be infuriated if I was a Richmond fan. And you're the soccer ref here, so when I get furious, I do like to bounce it off of you to make sure I'm not crazy or being a fan. I just don't know. Even if he did knee to the head there, it wasn't an unorthodox knee to the head. And that's sometimes when you watch replays, you're like, but yeah, he kicked him in a sensitive spot or threw an elbow to a head, and it was clearly not inside of the scope of the game. and it looked intentional. I didn't see anything that even remotely resembled that. If I'm Richmond, I'm really upset that we got that red card and now we got to play down a man.
Yeah, and you could tell the just by the players' reaction too. They were not happy. I mean, as we would never be happy, right? If you have a man sent off, but yeah, a very soft red, a very questionable red, and to happen right before halftime to a guy that's just come on the field due to injury. Freeman had to come off with an injury, so they brought Richmond on, who's a young academy product, I believe. It's really just messes with your game plan to have that happen right before halftime. And then second half, I really thought Naples was going to take it to them. And it seemed like we, in the second half, couldn't figure a way to break down their 10 men. We really struggled, I think. We had a couple of chances here and there, but we kept giving the ball back to them and letting them attack us. We didn't really look like we knew what to do against 10 men. Definitely something I didn't have on my bingo card for this season was us struggle to break down a 10-man Richmond side. But credit where it's due to Richmond. They made it very difficult to break down and very difficult to create really any chances in that second half for us.
Hmm.
But we
Yeah, and I want to. Sorry, you cut out their amateur audio, so I started going, but I want to talk about the finish, but just the last comment I had on the red card. What made it so interesting is there was no decision, no thought from that ref. As soon as he blew that whistle, that red card was out. It, like we were saying, it was so quick that we thought it was on us. That's what made that's what made it really interesting to me. And I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more in depth kind of on the procedures as a ref when you're in that moment. Obviously there's no VAR, so you do really need to sell the call, but that's such a unique. I found that really unique. Normally when you see a ref pull it out that fast, everybody in the stadium's like, yeah, that was a red card. So just
yeah.
wondering if you had any further comments on that.
I think from his perspective, trying to put myself in his shoes, you see the Richmond player was coming with pace. He's coming right at Messias, who's on the ground. And I don't know if I don't know what exactly he saw, but he clearly saw something that he's like, yep, red card, no doubt about it. Because you do see those challenges sometimes when you're in the middle there and you see, whether it be studs up or guys just come flying in with a bunch of speed and pace. And it's all things that you have to consider. And then when you see something like that, it's like, oh yeah, easy, red card. And I think that's what he had thought he saw. I think hindsight, again, it's a developmental league it's a professional league, but it's still a lot of developing going on with these, young professionals, young referees as well. Definitely a learning moment for that young ref. And I don't know. I hope he won't make a mistake like that again. I know in my referee career, I've had plenty of those. We always do. Same with the players, right? If you're going to give a ball away in the midfield and lead to a goal, it happens. So yeah, just unfortunate there. And he clearly saw something to get the red card out that quickly and show it. But yeah.
Here's the question I have, staying on this topic. Can't Have you ever seen a time, and I know in other sports, sometimes you're anticipating a call. I'm specifically thinking basketball. See a fast break, you're like, oh, he's going to foul him. And as soon as he goes up, he ends up making a clean block, but you've already started to call the foul. But then you change that closed fist to an open hand for out of bounds. Um, is that something you've seen with the red card? Because I feel like as soon as you pull out a card, as soon as it comes out of the pocket, it can't go back into the pocket. That would just set the opposing coach off. Am I right on
Right.
that assessment?
100%. Yeah. And that's one of the things too is you want to try and take a breath and take a moment and just think about it before you get the card fully out. Like even if you just start reaching to your card, everyone knows when a referee starts reaching into his pocket, okay, there's going to be a card shown. What color is the card? And I'll give you a little inside baseball here. Red cards typically back pocket, yellow cards front pocket or top chest pocket. So if you at home are watching and you see the referee reaching for the back pocket, chances are it's going to be red.
love the inside baseball reference there. If you know, you know. Yeah, that's actually kind of one of the cool things about soccer officiating in general is as somebody that reps other sports, it is really a different it is so different and in that aspect of it is really cool because I did always wonder that like is it in the same pocketbook or whatever and they have to fumble through but you do want to be crisp and clean with it so having it in the different locations yeah but anyway I feel like people don't come here to listen to us talk about referees unless we're really going at them um, but yeah that final 5 minutes they asked a couple tough questions and it was a huge step up for Delgado. You know, I think there might have been some doubt in some of the fans' minds after his performance against Corpus, and similar types of shots were coming from outside of the box that could end up being a weakness that Naples has that teams are going to try to exploit early. Luckily, that should be an easy fix. But what were your thoughts on those stoppage time questions?
Yeah, the whole stoppage time was just crazy. Um, Back to earlier on though, he had a great save where it
Hmm.
was a 1v1, and I think it was probably Richmond's biggest true chance of the game, just a 1v1, and he gets down, and it looked like he was beat, but he got his arm down behind him to save the ball from going anywhere, and then just kind of fell on it. I know last week we were a little hard on him giving up those 2 goals, but this week, man, he responded. Huge save there, and then yeah, like you said, the stoppage time there at the end, they brought their goalkeeper up. It was full 11v11, or I guess still
Hmm.
10v11 there in our box, and lots of questions being asked. That's normally when stuff goes wrong, right? It's the end of the game. We got tired legs out there. They're looking to get anything from any little chance. And he responded with a huge save right at the death. The defense as well. Everything was out. Everything was nowhere out and out wide to keep them from having any second chance looks. So, it's one of those that, yeah, you said, there wasn't much going on in the second half, and I don't think there was outside of the Delgado save and then the stoppage time craziness. But it's one of those, you go on the road. Yeah, I think we each would have taken a draw happily and said, okay, take our point. Let's head back to Naples. We'll be sitting on 5 points, 3 games in. But they said no, we're gonna get all three, and it's one of those gritty. I think the team really showed their stripes and said, this is the kind of team we're going to be where we can grind out these 1-0 wins. And it's games like this that go from you're settling for a point at the end to, okay, we held on to all 3 points. Did we play particularly well? No, I don't think we played well at all. But we got enough done to get 3 points, get home, and we're happy.
Yeah, first question I want to ask you is, do you think it was poor caddying there in that 52nd minute with the caddy giving the striker the 8 iron for the punch? Should he have used the 60-degree wedge there like our guys have been using?
Yes. Yes, he
It
definitely should have, definitely a wedge shot there, not a low ball.
I think there are probably some people that listened to this that saw those 2 goals and we kind of harped on how impressive those goals are. And and now you just saw the reciprocal of that guy. I think everybody's saying probably should have scored, but it isn't as easy, not as easy as it looks. And obviously Delgado made a great save, but I just wanted to highlight our guys with their goals in the last 2 games that it is a really tough situation. And back to what you're saying about the grittiness, I think that's the difference between a championship caliber team and to use it in European terms, like a European team. Like that 1-1, if that game ends 1-1, that's a team that you're like, okay, that's a team that could maybe play in a Europa Conference League. Not quite gonna win the league. But you come out of that winning, you get the full 3 points. That's a team that you're like, they can win the whole league. And I know it's early, but anytime you can go on the road and get a gritty 1-0 win, even against 10 men, I think it'd be a little bit more impressive had it been against the full 11, but you can only play against what you're facing. and Naples did a great job and earned 3 points this match.
Yeah. I think that Richmond team's going to be really good. I think they're going to be good this year. Just from what we've seen, they're going to be tough to break down. They're going to be a good team. Um, for us, like you said, it's the old age old question of do it on a rainy night in Stoke, but this was looked like a beautiful night up in Richmond, Virginia, against a gritty 10-men team, and we were able to get it done. Tough place to play too. I think they had over 5,000 people there. Their home opener looked like a great crowd on hand. There's some great crowd shots going around. I've shared a couple on our Forza Naples store on Instagram. So remember, follow us on social media so you get to see all of that. Yeah, just like you said, it's the difference between mid-table, 10th and 11th place in Europe, or I guess here it'd be like 9th, 8th, 7th place, and top 4 finishes of we're going to host throughout the playoffs. Are nights like these where you get it done.
Yeah, outside of our home stadium, obviously, because we're totally biased and we would both pick Paradise Sports Complex as the number one stadium in the league. Would Richmond's be number two for you? And I'm not talking about environments. I think Portland Hearts of Pine probably had that. But in terms of a cool venue that they were playing in, the whole time I was trying to figure out what type of stadium this is used for when it's not being used by the Richmond Kickers.
Yes, it's a very historic stadium there in Richmond. Talking to our friends too, the Richmond Kickers podcast, as well as Walkin' 90, they have really historic stadium, huge tailgate culture. The crowd really comes out. The Richmond Kickers have also been around since 1993, so they've been around quite some time. Really cool historic club to be in this league. Definitely on the pretty high up on the list of League One stadiums I'd want to go to.
Yeah, it looked cool. It looked like a cool venue. I think that maybe that's in the works for a future away day.
For sure. Any final thoughts? Or I guess we have to do man of the match against Richmond. Who are you giving your man of the match award to?
I can't give it to Batchstein because he didn't score. Can I give him the Great Teammate Award? The Great Teammate Award goes to him. I think the answer comes down to two guys, and you're gonna pick one of the two. Uh, I'm gonna go with O'Connor because I think you'll pick the other one that I'm thinking of for man of the match. So I'll go with O'Connor. Awesome, awesome header, awesome finish. Good way to get onto the score sheet. But I'm hoping you picked the other guy I was thinking.
I've got it between like 4 guys again. Because anytime we win, it's a tough choice.
It's a team effort. It's a really good
it
team.
truly is. The Delgado's pretty high up there just
Bingo.
for the saves he had. So I think I'm gonna give it to Delgado. The other considerations I had were Cisneros with the assist. Again, he's just been really deadly getting forward, and it's been fun to see both him and Glasser get so far forward. Yoder and Master Antonio were again excellent at the back. Just really strong, I thought. Garcia, I thought, had a good game. Taylor Gray had a good game. I'm waiting for him to finally get his goal. As far as, if you want to give a 6-man award to someone off the bench, Farine, man, he came off the bench and he was just firing on all cylinders. There's a couple times where he tracked back to win, like he gave the ball away, and then next thing you know, he's winning the ball back. Really, really hard-working stuff from the whole team. So, but Delgado, I think, he's going to get my man of the match award for Richmond.
Yeah, and you're about to ask any last thoughts, and I do have one final thought that we haven't touched on that I did notice, and compared it to the Forest team, we both watched this morning, was when there are loose balls that are borderline 50-50, but I'll call it 75-25 that we're going to win the ball. It seems like we do a really good job of knowing who needs to go to the ball and who needs to get upfield. And that's probably the first time I've really noticed it. There are a couple times there's 2 guys in the area, the ball gets knocked loose, and they both know, hey, I'm going ball, you're going long, and I'm going to get this ball and throw it right to you 20 yards down the pitch. Just something that I noticed that shows that although a lot of the guys are new, the chemistry is there, it's building, and I anticipate the squad being a really close knit squad moving forward.
Yeah, only 4 games in, and you can tell the guys are starting to kind of figure each other out and really bed in together. Exciting stuff. And then you even have guys like Hudson Gay, who came on a 25-day trial contract, and he came off the bench again, looked really good, and everyone who he's playing with, they all kind of seem to be on the same page, which is good to see that these guys are getting to know each other better and figuring out each other's game, as the season progresses. Only you hope it's only going to get stronger and up from here, right?
Yeah. Any word on a permanent contract from him? Was that discussed at the brewery with anybody from the club?
Not discussed with anyone at the club. I know our table that we were sitting at, we all said, I hope that we do sign him full time, because he came in, he was playing fullback, stepped right up. I think he's kind of a plug and play kind of guy. So hope he does get the opportunity he deserves and continues to show out,
It's
especially
going
being
to
a
be one
local
of
product.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those things. We either sign him in his hero arc is with us, or we let him walk and the villain origin story begins, because he has definitely earned a spot on this team. And I think there would be a lot of disappointed fans if you don't keep the hometown kid that has earned. I think we had a local guy last year that made the initial roster. I don't think he ever played. Um, this is a local kid that's played, and a lot of people, I would assume, think he belongs in the squad. I even think he could be a starting 11 guy. So hopefully the club doesn't turn him into a villain, because if the club lets him walk and he scores against us, he should celebrate.
Yeah. Overall, though, got to be happy with 3 points, and hopefully we sign Hudson Gay. Looking forward to the games ahead. The U.S. Open Cup round 2 draw occurred. Got somewhat of a favorable draw. Looks like we're going to be playing FC America's CFL Spurs, who had the first round bye because they had originally drawn South Georgia Tormenta, RIP South Georgia Tormenta, who is taking the year off. So they got basically a first round bye, a 1-0 forfeit win for them. It looks like they are another men's league team that will be playing. Open Cup qualifier from Orlando, team that hopefully we can get a result against. That game's going to be at home, and it's going to be March 31st. If we can win in advance in that one, we could be playing an MLS team in the next round, which would be really cool to see, to be back in the third round of the Open Cup. So something to hope for there. Up next at home, though, this Saturday, March 28th, we should be back this week with another preview pod, but we are taking on Forward Madison at home. Madison, another one of the long-time clubs within this league. They won their first game actually at 1 Knox 2-1. So that's the only game they've played. So they're currently sitting in 5th on 3 points, having only played 1 game. So this will be their second game of the season. After those 2 games, we're back home for 2 games in a row, April 4th and April 11th. No international break for those wondering in USL League One. We just keep powering through. So then after those, April 4th, Greenville, and then April 11th, home to Sarasota in that rivalry game, before we hit the road and head up to Portland. But yeah, games, 3 more home games coming up on deck. Exciting stuff. Paul, anything else you want to recap before we go?
No, I just want to plug the Open Cup match in a couple days. It's about 10 days. Yes, it's a men's league side or whatever, but that's part of what makes the Open Cup great, as we mentioned last week. So cool that club gets to play in the second round, and hopefully we can make quick work with them and move on to hopefully play in a game where we could get a cup set.
Yeah, hopefully. Keep winning the cup. Keep advancing, survive and advance that time of year as March Madness goes on. Well, we should be back this week with a preview pod for Forward Madison. Looking forward to that one. Thank you all so much for listening. Be sure to follow us on our social medias. All those links will be in the podcast description. Be sure to share the podcast with your FC Naples loving friends. Bring friends out to the game on Saturday. Make sure everyone gets to experience how great it is out at Paradise Coast. Thank you all so much for listening. Until next time, we will see you soon, and come on, Naples.